Stop. Before you scroll past this, I need you to hear something. Carl Jung spent 40 years studying the human mind, and he arrived at one conclusion that most people never hear about. He said there are no accidents, that there is a force operating just beneath the surface of your life that has been positioning you, moving pieces, closing doors, and cracking others open. And that force has been building toward this moment. You didn't stumble onto this video. The restlessness you've been carrying, the feeling that something is shifting, that the old version of you doesn't quite fit anymore. The version of you that survived the last 5 years cannot survive the next 5. The strange coincidences, the dreams, the inexplicable knowing that something massive is on the horizon. Jung had a name for all of it. And he had an even more important message for you. This discomfort you're feeling right now is not a breakdown. It's the beginning of the most powerful chapter of your life. Stay with me because what I'm about to tell you is going to reframe everything. Jung made a discovery early in his career that shook the entire world of psychology to its foundation. He noticed that his patients, some of the most accomplished, successful, well-adjusted people in Europe, would arrive at his office in their 30s, 40s, and 50s completely hollow, not broken by failure, broken by success. They had done everything right, built the career, raised the family, checked every box society handed them, and yet they felt nothing, a creeping emptiness, a persistent voice underneath the noise of their perfectly constructed lives whispering, "This isn't it." Jung didn't diagnose them, he listened to them. And what he heard over and over was this: somewhere along the way, these people had abandoned themselves. They had built a life for the person the world wanted them to be and left behind the person they actually were. He called the face we show the world the persona, the mask we curate, the reputation we protect, the version of ourselves that's been edited for public consumption. And here's what Jung understood that almost no one talks about: the stronger your persona gets, the louder your true self screams. That screaming, that restlessness, is not weakness. That screaming is intelligence. It is your deeper self sending an emergency signal that you have outgrown the container you built for yourself. It means the architecture of your old life can no longer hold who you are becoming. Think about what's been happening in your life recently. Relationships ending, careers hollowing out, 3 wake-ups, a life that looks right but feels wrong. Most people, when this feeling arrives, try to silence it. They get busier, they scroll longer, they numb it with noise and plans and productivity. They treat the signal like a problem to be solved rather than a message to be decoded. Jung watched this happen thousands of times across his career, and he watched what happened to the people who kept running from it and what happened to the people who stopped and listened. The ones who kept running grew older, more rigid, more bitter. They calcified around the version of themselves they'd always been, and life slowly narrowed. The ones who listened, they were transformed. Jung had a word for that transformation. He called it individuation, and it is, without question, the most powerful psychological process a human being can undergo. And the fact that you're feeling this restlessness right now, the fact that something in you said yes when you saw the title of this video, that is not coincidence. That is the process already beginning in you. Now I want to talk to you about something that most people either misunderstand or refuse to confront. Jung called it the shadow. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is not your darkness. It is not the worst version of you. Your shadow is the version of you that the world told you wasn't acceptable. It's the ambition you were told was arrogance, the anger you were told was ugly, the hunger you were told was selfish, the wildness, the creativity, the desire, the intensity, all of it boxed up and stored in the basement of your psyche because at some point in your life, someone made you feel like those parts of you were too much. Here is what Jung understood and what modern psychology has only just begun to catch up to. Everything you've buried is still alive, and it is not sitting quietly in the dark. Your shadow has been running your life from the background, the sabotaged relationships, the self-destructive patterns that resurface right when things are going well, the rage that comes from nowhere, the inexplicable attraction to people who are wrong for you, the genius you've never fully deployed, the creative vision you've never fully trusted. All of it is shadow material waiting to be reclaimed. Jung said something that should be written on every therapist's wall, every school's front door, and every mirror you've ever looked into. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Read that again. The patterns you keep repeating, the ceiling you can't seem to break through, the version of yourself you keep trying to escape and keep finding yourself returning to, that is not bad luck, that is not destiny. That is the unclaimed, unintegrated material of your own psyche running the show while you think you're the one driving. Shadow work is not about becoming darker, it is about becoming whole. It is the process of descending into the basement, turning on the lights, and discovering that the monsters you've been running from were carrying the keys to everything you've ever wanted. The person you were supposed to be before the world got to you lives in that shadow. And here's the crucial thing, this discomfort you're feeling, the friction in your life right now, the walls coming up, the old patterns finally becoming unbearable, the exhaustion with the person you've been pretending to be. That is your shadow rising, not to destroy you, to initiate you. Alchemists had a term for this stage of transformation, nigredo, the blackening, the breaking down of old material before it can be transmuted into gold. You are not falling apart. You are being broken down into the gold you were always meant to become. In 1952, Jung published one of the most controversial and extraordinary ideas in the history of psychology. He called it synchronicity. He defined it as a meaningful coincidence, but that description barely touches what he actually meant. Jung spent decades observing something in his patients' lives that had no rational explanation, that at critical turning points, at moments of inner shift and psychological breakthrough, the outer world would respond. A person would be thinking deeply about a lost friend and receive a call from them within the hour. A patient would be describing a dream about a scarab beetle when, at that exact moment, a scarab-shaped golden beetle flew into Jung's office window. These were not tricks of memory or confirmation bias. Jung, who collaborated directly with the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Wolfgang Pauli, believed these events were evidence of something profound, that the inner world and the outer world are not as separate as we've been told. That consciousness is not locked inside your skull. That when you undergo a deep internal shift, when you begin to shed a false self and step toward your true one, the universe does not remain indifferent. It lines in. Think about the moments in your own life when you were genuinely aligned, when you made the courageous decision, when you finally let go of what wasn't working, when you stopped hiding and started becoming. Didn't something shift in the world around you? Didn't the right person appear? Didn't the opportunity surface that had been waiting for you to become ready for it? This is not magic, this is not wishful thinking. This is synchronicity. This is the pattern Jung spent his life documenting, that when a human being begins the authentic work of becoming who they truly are, the world reorganizes around that becoming. But it only activates when you're moving, when you're genuinely in the process of transformation. The reason most people never experience synchronicity is because most people never truly commit to becoming themselves. They stay in the waiting room of their own lives, hoping the conditions will eventually be perfect, not realizing that the conditions respond to the commitment, they don't precede it. Jung said, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. The fact that you're here watching this now, at this precise moment in your life, is not an accident. Something in you called this in. Some part of you that is further along than you realize has already sent the coordinates. The most powerful era of your life doesn't start when circumstances improve. It starts the moment you decide to meet it. So what does this actually look like? What does it mean, in practical, lived terms, to enter your most powerful era through the lens of Jung's work? It starts with what Jung called the night sea journey. In the mythologies he studied across every culture, from the Greeks to the Norse to the ancient Egyptians, there was a recurring story. A hero descends into darkness, into the belly of the whale, into the underworld, and there in that darkness, stripped of everything familiar, they encounter the truth of who they are, and they emerge changed, not slightly improved, fundamentally transformed. This is not metaphor. Jung believed this pattern is written into the architecture of the human psyche itself. Your night sea journey may have already begun. The thing you're grieving right now, the identity you're releasing, the structures crumbling around you, this is not punishment. This is passage. The first thing you must do is stop trying to go back. The version of you that made it to this crossroads cannot carry you through what's coming. Jung was clear about this. You cannot renovate a house that's already collapsing. You build a new one. It means transcending it. The old container must break so the new one can be built. The second thing is this: you must commit to radical honesty about who you are. Not who you've been performing, not the identity you built to survive your childhood or impress your peers or meet someone else's definition of success. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That word privilege is deliberate. Most people never claim it. They spend their entire lives being an echo of what the world expected and call it a biography. You are not most people, you are watching this for a reason. The third principle, your mission, is the magnet. Jung observed that the people who moved most powerfully through the individuation process were people who found something genuinely worth giving themselves to. Not a job, not a social role, a mission, a sense of purpose so aligned with their deepest nature that pursuing it felt like the only honest thing to do. When you find that alignment, and you will find it because you are already moving toward it, something extraordinary happens. Life stops feeling like something that happens to you. It starts feeling like something happening through you. That is what power actually is, not dominance, not control, not the accumulation of credentials or applause. Power is the experience of moving through your life as the person you were always meant to be. And here is what Jung's entire body of work is pointing toward, the thing he spent 60 years and thousands of patient sessions trying to help people understand. You have never been broken, you have been incomplete, and incompleteness is not a flaw, it is the precondition for growth. It is the seed's position before it becomes the tree. The tree is coming. Jung said something late in his life that has stayed with me since the first time I heard it. He said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Most people live their entire lives outside themselves, building for the outside world's approval, healing the wounds the outside world inflicted, measuring their worth by the outside world's metrics. And they dream beautiful, elaborate, exhausting dreams of being different someday, more confident someday, more free someday, more themselves someday. You are watching this because some part of you is done dreaming. Some part of you has decided that someday is now, that the waiting is over, that the old identity is no longer worth the cost of maintaining it, that whatever is on the other side of this discomfort, the whole, integrated, fully alive version of you, is worth every uncomfortable step it takes to get there. Jung believed that every human being carries within them an archetype he called the self, a kind of inner blueprint of who you have the potential to become at your highest, not who your parents shaped you to be, not who your culture assigned you to be, the version of you that exists at the level of your deepest, most essential nature. That self has been waiting for you, patiently, quietly, consistently sending signals through your restlessness, your longing, your dreams, your most honest moments. This is one of those signals. The most powerful era of your life is not coming. It is not something you earn after you get it together, lose the weight, heal the wound, or fix the pattern. It is available to you right now, in the act of deciding that you are no longer going to abandon yourself. Jung called this individuation, the mystics called it awakening, you might just call it coming home. You didn't find this by accident. Now go become who you came here to be.